And Spish. She knew I helped dogs and saved their lives. That's confidence and strength in the dog world.
Teach me, oh wise one.
Because nothing learns through punishment. It learns through reward. And a lot of times I'm dealing with dogs no one else will help.
Oh my.
Every dog should have these basic skills.
Yeah, I mean, trust seems like the biggest step for any of this.
You defeat the energy. You pop that bubble of anxiety. We know you're scared. Here's what you do about your fear. That's true power in the dog world. Welcome to Captain Spish Dog Behavior Podcast. I am Captain Spish, also known as Kyle Adams.
Yep, it's me, First Mate T. Tommy. Then, now, always, forever.
That's not an official salute, just so you know.
No, not in the least.
Salute. So anyhow, this episode we will be talking about basically an invention of my own to help dogs with fear, aggression, anxiety, insecurity, just socialization issues in general.
So you invented an easy button.
Well, yeah. So pack therapy. I invented a service I call pack therapy. I thought about changing its name because the word pack kind of has some negative connotations these days, with some people kind of co-opting it and using it to promote dominance theory, which has definitely been debunked. And we talked about that with the You Are Not the Alpha episode.
Right.
But just a quick recap, in the 70s they did a research that's terrible on captive wolf pack, and made assumptions about wild wolf packs based on that observation, and then correlated it to dogs. So it's double, triple inaccurate and thoroughly debunked as absolute trash. So if anyone tells you in the profession that, oh, your dog's being dominant, get someone else.
Well, then, those same people also apply it to human beings now, because, you got the alpha men and beta males. And
I agree with labeling people alpha and beta based on computer programming. Like, this is the alpha version, like the first try, and it's bleh, and the beta version as in the second try.
So
I'd rather be a zeta male, as in like finished, complete, debugged, but...
Well, I was going to say, would that be like your first marriage is the alpha, but then your second marriage is the beta? Is that what you're saying? Like, because, it's like, well, the first version didn't work, but now the second version.
Hold on, I'm getting a message. Anyway, I can take care of that later.
All right.
Sorry, I'm cheap, and I use my business phone to record these episodes, and I got a message from a client who's boarding their dog with us. Thumper, who is a prime example. A golden retriever, very fun, very sweet, and good dog, well-trained. But his name's Thumper. And long story short, this lady has this dog, and he is not very well socialized. He doesn't understand other dogs' language too well, and he gets a little snarky and defensive because he's overwhelmed and has no basis of experience. So I invented pack therapy, for lack of maybe of a better name, to help with socialization, which is more than just being social. Socialization is kind of a misnomer in a way, or at least an incomplete description of teaching a dog how to be out in public, and to get used to noises and sounds and visions and different objects and things, and not be reactive or scared or put off by them. So a lot of people have struggles doing that because they're afraid of the dog acting up and embarrassing them, or even being dangerous, or who knows what. And the time required to do such socialization is a challenge for people as well in this day and age, where we have to work constantly, have more than one job, have transport issues, depending on what area of the country or area of certain cities you live. There aren't very many places you can go you can safely expose the dog to these sounds of the world, of life. So that's kind of a reason I take the reins, and it's a great way I can help clients give a little shot in the arm to expertly handle these dogs and take them out and have the time, because it's my full-time job, to expose them to these sounds and people and dogs and just life, and it helps enhance their life.
Okay, so what, I guess we should probably start with this. what was the inspiration for pack therapy? When did it actually begin? Is it something you've always used during your time, or is it something that kind of developed as you were progressing through your business and your knowledge?
It pretty much started right off the bat when I started my business, because I was trying to answer the question that clients ask, and I ask of myself, like, how can I help more? Like, how can I get involved more, but it's cost effective and time effective, aka like the time I put in actually makes an impact on the dog and what the people see. And that's something I noticed a big hole in, was people weren't exercising their dog physically enough and in the correct way, or they were over exercising the dog, which is a thing. You can overexert a dog, and so if you're running with your dog, for instance, not that it's inherently a bad thing, but you can incidentally or accidentally make the dog practice being crazy and excitable with no rules. So they're just running without any real feedback from you. You're just running together, and you disappear on the leash, and they don't learn to take cues or listen, or they don't learn how to control their energy. They just learn how to exert it. So now that you're teaching and exercising this dog that muscle to be exerted and excited and run and to play and to not have any rules, and they get home, take a nap, and they have more endurance now to be more crazy, and they get up and they do more. So those dogs need to learn to walk slower than their natural pace, to think about their steps, to think about you, to take cues from you. It takes more energy to hold back their reaction than their play than it does to play. And impulse control is the core of almost everything I teach. Stop yourself if you have this impulse and this desire to chase that squirrel or dart in front of me or follow the scent. Think about me too. I'm here too. And so I do that in pack therapy.
Okay.
That's part of socialization too, is pay attention to the other end of the leash.
So is pack therapy just walking the dog, or is there more to it?
It started with that. So like I said in the previous episode, I started earning $10 a week, and that's because I was walking one dog just one day a week.
One dog, $10 a week. That's still something.
Yeah, his name is Mercury, and he's owned by a lady named Beth, and he tried to bite everybody. In fact, he bit Jim Booker of Booker's Beat. If you're local to the Dayton area, you may know who he is, because Booker reached over about 10 pit bulls I was walking, because they're scary, but every one of those would have been friendly to him, and he reached right for the giant fluffy murder machine. We used to call Mercury. We used to call him Murder. That was his nickname for with us. It's like Murder. Cause I was the first person, I think, as far as I know, that visited him in his house that didn't get bit.
Oh, lucky you.
He just had fear reactions, and he was, wanted to control the situation. So I was like, well, best way I can help him is to get him out to see the world, to see people, to be less reactive. He used to try to chase cars and stuff too sometimes.
Oh, well. So he was the epitome of the dog chasing cars.
Yeah, he would. He would get really upset because they startle him. They run by real quick, and he's like, "Roar." And being a shepherd, he was a Australian shepherd.
Oh, okay.
And a giant one, like really big. He wanted to chase and control whatever ran past him. He taught my hero. He was my hero's first friend, and that's what my logo's made after, his hero. My white bull terrier, and Hero had severe fear issues as well, so they kind of learned together and helped support each other. So Mercury helped Hero too, to learn to trust, because he didn't trust other dogs, people, grass. He didn't like poles.
Wait,
trash
hold on.
cans.
Did you just say your dog didn't trust grass?
He was scared of grass when he was a little teeny baby about this big. When I first saw him, I went to get him. I put him down on the ground, and he looked at the grass and he screamed at it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that story.
He was scared. He was the worst fear case I ever seen. Scared of everything, things you wouldn't even think you would notice. He was scared of, and it took years to work through one by one each fear. And as we learned each fear, he learned how to cope with fear as a whole, and I learned how to cope with them too. And we grew together. That's a good thing about working with dogs. You learn how to communicate with them, they learn how to communicate with you, and you learn about life together, and that's socialization for you as well.
Oh, look at that. Pack therapy on people.
You've been packed.
PPT.
But yeah, so I invented it to give a shot in arm for people that have, especially dog-aggressive dogs. I'll get them around the group of dogs that I have that have been with me for years now. A lot of pack members have been with me for 5+ years. So they know me, they trust me, I know them, and I trust them. And as predictable as I can predict the dogs, I can. There's always going to be some variable you can't predict, and that's what muzzles are for. So if you're not sure if you can predict, muzzle. It's a good way to go. All dogs, like in the previous episode, well, the episode that will be out hopefully before this one, all dogs should know how to be okay with a muzzle. Most dogs in a reach situation in their life, they might need to be muzzled. But that's what I did. I invented pack therapy to help primarily to start with dog aggressive dogs, get them used to this group of dogs. And even if they don't become okay with dogs as a whole, dogs are social animals. And a recent study has proven that dogs can live years longer if they have dog friends, if they can be around dogs regularly. It extends their life because it's part of who they are, is to be social with other dogs. And so at least, even if they don't get used to dogs in public as a whole, they at least have dog friends, as a group of dogs they can trust and they can rely on and use to gain their own strength.
Okay, so right now in the Captain Spish pack, how many dogs on average do you take care of in the pack therapy right now?
We go out Tuesday through Friday currently. If I gain some more pack members, I may start Mondays again. But 2020 kind of knocked that down along with a few other factors. But yeah,
I can understand that.
I'd say on a slower day we have about 12 dogs, and on the busier day we have up to 18. Whew. Well, in my peak, we were getting like 25 dogs a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised your arms aren't bigger than your body at this point from holding them all.
That's the thing. When I gain muscle, I don't gain bulk. I gain density. So my arms stay the same, my body stays the same, but I gain 20, 30 pounds in muscle. So when I started this job, I was an average of 225, and now I'm 265. And I haven't gained belt size or shirt size or any of that.
Your butt hasn't gotten bigger.
My Coben's getting bigger. He's a jerk. Like sassy butt booge. But anyhow, he grew up in the pack, so he knows how to deal with dogs. But that's what it is. It just basically give dogs a chance to learn how to trust at least certain individuals and to enhance their life and get them used to the world. And it helps with self-confidence, which with some dogs, gaining self-confidence kind of makes them worse. I warn clients that pack therapy sometimes can gain a dog confidence to be more assertive, and sometimes that means to push their agenda and want to take things and take food and be more confident to voice their fear.
Okay, so that's something that you've experienced and you've seen it. What would be the right term? So you've seen it kind of bring out the villain in a dog? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's already in there, but they haven't had the confidence to exemplify how they feel about certain things, or to say, hey, that's enough, and have a boundary. So they may become more snarky with their fellow dogs, or to tell you, hey, I've learned I can say where my line is. But that actually can reduce the chances of bites, because when a dog feels more confident to communicate earlier how they feel and what they do or don't want, and you listen and you help the other dogs listen and say, hey, they're saying that's enough. They never said it before, but they do now. You need to back off. I can have a story of a recent client that didn't take a cue from their dog and got bit. But yeah, and that's sometimes some of this is common sense. Someone tells you, hey, don't touch me there, or don't do this thing, I'm warning you, and you keep doing it. Sometimes you get what you get. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It's not that it makes them a worse behaved dog as much as it brings out behaviors that some people see as less than desirable. But if you react properly to them based on the consultation that you hopefully have had with me beforehand, that's why I tell clients I prefer to do a consultation before I enter a dog into pack therapy. Even if you think you don't have problems or other things, it helps, because I can warn you about these kind of things a little more clearly. I usually still do like an hour of a home visit and come and visit and meet the dog and tell the people these things and warn them. But it's still not the same as 2 hours of handling your dog and explaining what might happen. Yeah. It's a little bit more of a crash course. But that's an added benefit of pack therapy too. One reason I invented it wasn't just to socialize dogs that are aggressive or fearful, really, it's what it is, of other dogs. But dogs that are fearful of the world, dogs who don't feel confident enough to tell you how they feel and warn you. But it was also to exercise them, of course, physically. Where was it going with this? But it was so I could have a regular weekly, or even, depending on the client, daily exposure to people who need my advice. Here, let me deal with my Coben.
Got a deal.
Dog waits for no one.
And for everything else, there's MasterCard.
Anyhow.
Meanwhile, back in the podcast.
Fingers. Don't want to chop them again. All right, and I'm back. Who knows?
Back to pack therapy.
Trish, my wife, left to hike with her own dog, and Coben didn't like being left behind. So we'll have him here chewing something behind us. But yeah, so the added benefit of the clients knowing where I am and coming and seeing them and talking to them daily, during the week. So when I drop off or pick up their dog, they can have an opportunity to ask me in person, which makes a difference. Sometimes seeing people's faces and talking to them in person is better than the phone or text.
Right.
And so a lot of my clients love that. Plus, some clients also gain a little added security. So because my schedule is always kind of random, even if I show up every Monday or every Tuesday or whatever day I come get your dog, and it's once a week, there's some weeks I come a different day because I had a car problem, or there's weather.
That makes sense.
I did a makeup day. And even if I come on the same day, every week, my schedule's so weird because I have to take my time to pick up a lot of these dogs that it always changes. So when I get there, it's going to vary within 2 to 3 hours sometimes.
Well, I imagine, especially if you've got to travel around to a bunch of different places, traffic can be a factor. Like you said, weather.
Always a factor.
If we had any weather like we did on Friday, I'm sure you probably wouldn't be walking the dogs in that kind of.
Yeah, and you got to be prepared. So if the road's going to be dangerous, or the temperatures are going to be dangerous, or if it's raining out, I still will get your dog unless there's a lightning risk. And even then, like I said, it's so you asked earlier, is it just walking the dogs? Mostly walking the dogs, but I also take them to be exposed in stores like Rural King around here. We have that they allow dogs, and I take them in groups, small groups.
I was going to say, do you take all 12 or 15 or 20 dogs into Rural King at the same time? I imagine that would be a nightmare.
I have a max of 4.
Okay.
Depending on the dogs. Very, very dependent on the dogs. So I only bring 4 in if they're really friendly, really good on leash. Won't pee in there.
I imagine they wouldn't be too happy with that.
Yeah. So, in other words, I do some extreme things with the dogs, such as how many dogs I take and where I take them, with caveats and control to make it as polite to those who are at that location as possible. So I choose places where I walk the dogs that have broad enough paths that I can get far enough away where the average person, or even people that are a little scared of dogs, won't feel threatened by my big group of dogs. So I can get out of the way. Paths that I can see a great distance ahead. So, if I see dogs coming, or loose dogs, or people, I can read their body language, see if they're scared, and I can be respectful. And we get off the path as far as we can, so we don't have surprises. And that's kind of hard to find those parks, but they're around.
I would say, do you take them to dog parks to do some?
Never dog parks unless I can take over the dog park. Because there's no way that me, a single person, can watch 18 dogs now mixed with random other dogs and make sure everyone's safe and read the situation. I won't do that.
Well, I think it's important that you brought that up because, when I first heard about your pack therapy, it's I knew you walked them and whatnot.
Well, that's why I want to bring this up. I think it's important people hear these things.
Another part of it, me thought, is well, does he just go to a dog park and just let them all go and, have their own thing and do their own thing? He pulls out his cigar and he's just sitting there
I love when a plan comes together.
Exactly. So, honestly, I thought the whole dog park thing was part of your pack therapy, but, hearing that and your explanation for it does make, a bit of sense when you think about it.
Well, you have to be kind of almost super controlling. And you have to control all the variables when you work with that many dogs and other people's dogs. They're those people's family. I handle them like I'd want someone to handle my dog with the same kind of gentleness, care, forethought, prevention, protection, because they are my dogs. I'm sorry, your dogs are mine. They're in my pack. They are mine. Like I feel that responsibility and that love and that care for them. They're gonna be treated just like my dogs. And that, to me, that's extremely important, because once again, I provide a service that I myself would pay for.
Right. I mean, if you're not going to pay for it, then why should anybody else, right? I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, to me, that's just common sense. I mean, if you're running a service business, why wouldn't you provide a service that you would yourself feel comfortable using?
Kind of like if you had a restaurant, like if you're not going to eat, if you're not going to eat there, why would you want to serve it, kind of thing.
When baristas serve me coffee and they tell me they don't drink coffee, that confuses me. But at the same time, they're just an employee. They don't own the coffee shop. That's different. I am the product. I am the service. And yeah, so that's how I think about it. With boarding here, when we board, that pack therapy is included in boarding, as long as, of course, the dog will be safe in the group and won't be overexerted, and so age and health and everything comes into play.
Right. So I imagine it also makes a difference if you have a dog that's not as social or doesn't do well around other dogs, that you're boarding, you probably take care of them separately and whatnot, but you still get them out and about, give them some kind of interaction.
Yeah, so pack therapy was invented for dogs that have hope to get along and be safe, at least initially safe enough to be with the other dogs to learn. There are certain dogs that just will not be safe around other dogs, no matter what. Koba's down here. Booch, get back. Get back here, bud. I would keep him out of the courts. But, yeah, so pack therapy isn't right for dogs that will just lose their mind. I watch and make sure they don't get stressed. I tell all clients when I pick up the dogs the first time, I'm like, look, whether it's the first time or the 150th time I come get your dog, if they're too stressed, they're not getting the point. They're so stressed and upset that they're not learning anything except for to be stressed and upset. I reserve the right to bring the dog back. So if most time people pay in advance, but sometimes people pay as they go. It all varies. But if it's not a good experience for your dog, or at least going to be a good experience for your dog, I bring them back and we'll try again another day. Or I will talk to you about, hey, this is too much for them, and we'll talk about a service that's rare for me, but I'll come and get just your dog to walk with just my dog, so they're not as flooded, because how much exposure is very important. Like, don't overexpose the dog.
I imagine,
I don't want to flood the dog. That's not what pack therapy is. It's not dog flooding. Here, dog, there's a crap ton of dogs. You better deal.
Well, I was going to say, I imagine a dog that might be shy or nervous around lots of other dogs, you would probably want to, introduce to maybe one or two at a time for the therapy, or even, just with the one.
Yep.
And whatnot. So let me ask you this. So in your pack therapy and whatnot, do you ever have the owners join you for any of these excursions? Or is that kind of a rare thing? Or is it taboo? I mean, taboo. That's a great word.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've some clients ask that. And my answer is that I encourage all clients to come out and observe and be part of it. And it's happened in the past. Yeah, I have had clients join with. Sometimes ride along with me in the stinky dog van, which I do warn him.
I enjoy that so much.
Yeah, I come pick him up and bring him here, so he rides around in the crazy van. But yeah, it just they're welcome to come along with, because I teach. That's just what I do. You know that. Ever since college, I teach. And some people resent that when I'm not in a position to do that. I've had to learn to not teach or to help unless I'm asked in private.
Tone it down a little.
In private life.
Simmer down, young one.
Just
down.
Who I am. I believe in teaching and helping and educating and learning. If people would have talked to me, I would listen. That's how I learned all the things I know. That's why people think I know so much, and like, how do you have all these stories for so many things? I'm like, I listen too. I don't just talk.
He just talks.
I do talk a lot. I won't deny that. There's no denying that. I mean, I started this podcast. I think and my business is based on talking. But anyway, yeah. So they're welcome to come along with and learn a lot. And but a lot of clients don't, because of the main reason I started pack therapy is that they don't have the time to walk their dog during peak times of days to expose them to life. And So therefore, a lot of clients don't have the time, can't make it out. But sometimes they'll have a day off and they'll ask to come along with. But that hasn't happened in years. And sometimes I'll say, hey, let me get your dog at least 4 sessions before you come along with, because I don't want the people get really stressed and upset when they see their dog in situations that they've seen their dog in before and their dog has failed. And they've seen the damage that is caused, and so they bring a lot of that with, and they can destabilize the group sometimes, or their dog, and the dog needs to learn to trust me and bond with me, instead of look to them and remember the association with their history, what they've done, and with their parents.
Right.
So the part of pack therapy is helping them to kind of reset and let go of the past. There's no association except for the fact they're with a human and dogs, so it bases it. So they don't bring a lot of that baggage with. They're open to learn because they know this is a new thing. And so that's a big power of pack therapy, is to give them that chance to see a familiar situation in an unfamiliar lens. And the group of dogs, why I call it pack therapy, is that you have all these other dogs together that have their own problems, but they've learned to get together and get along and trust each other and rely on each other for safety and for cues. And the new member comes in and sees, oh, I'm outnumbered. I have to mind my P's and Q's. What's the energy of this group? Who demands the energy? So I'm the one that says, hey, this is the max level of excitement. Here's what we do about our emotions. Here's what we do about stimulation. So I'm the one that dictates that, and I may have some pack members that have been with me a long time or that are more stable that also reinforce that. So while I'm driving around, I have a 7-inch monitor. That's where my rear view mirror is.
Yeah,
and a night vision camera. Oh, geez, here comes the Booge. Night vision camera in the back. Booge, come here. Oh, there we go. You see coming there. Hey, Booge. What? No, he says. But anyway, so I get to see what the dogs are doing while we're driving around, even if it's dark back there. I recently blacked out the windows, a lot of them, so it allows like ambient light through, but they can't see out and get freaked out about people or dogs. Yeah, there's still a couple windows they can see out of, like the back windows and the 2 sides, but they're tinted, and a lot of that's to keep the van cooler, because between the engine heat and the dog's heat and the sun heat, in the summer it gets pretty hot in there.
I was gonna say, probably not so bad right now with it being like 15 degrees outside, but
no, it gets up to 72 degrees back there, even though I don't have a working heater back there, and the reason I don't fix it is because it just don't need it. Between the heat from the front and the engine transmission and the dogs, it's plenty warm. So in the summer, I have an extra air conditioner I just installed on the back door.
I'd seen that. Yeah.
So it's auxiliary if it needs extra cooling, or in case the main air conditioner, because I have 2 units in the van. The front unit for me and whoever's riding up front, and there's a barrier, and then there's a rear unit. And I have a turbo fan on there. I replaced the stock fan with this inline crazy thing. It takes less amps and puts out twice the amount of pressure.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So it works great. And I have a little pre-filter there because all the dander and the hair, it'll clog up a fan real quick. I have to clean that thing daily to keep the hair out of it, especially when the collies come in. Oh my God, the collies produce so much hair. So anyhow, so you see all the forethought. So, and I also have crates that have been damaged by pack members through the years that have boarded with us, that some dogs try to escape and damage it. And I cut off panels and I soften their edges and I put them up on the windows. So in case there's any accident or incident or someone breaks a window from the outside of the van or anything happens, they can't just jump out this gaping hole in my van.
Right.
So that's added safety. So you see how I think ahead. I also have a $700 alternator. It puts out 250 amps. That's overbuilt with double bearings and triple sealed. They last years in these vans, and believe me, I work those alternators really hard between all the fans. In the summer, we're running 6 fans in the van. The 2 cooling the engine, the 2 in that run the cooling air conditioner fans, and then 2 in the auxiliary fan. Oh, wow. So we're pulling amps. We're pulling some amps, and the extra air conditioner runs off of pure 12 volts in the back on the back door.
Okay.
And I have 3 or 4 deep cycle batteries along with 400 watts of solar power. So I have auxiliary power that will keep those air conditioners going. Because air conditioning in the summer is like it's basically life support in the shuttle.
I would say, so basically what you're saying is that the dogs are taken care of. They can't get out. They're well protected. They're well cooled.
I have a 99 Dodge Ram van that I have spent $8,000 on to make improvements for safety between the flooring in the back, the insulation it has, the wall panels to keep the dogs safe and from tearing into the van or hurting themselves, the barriers, the paint, the upgrades to the engine, and the maintenance is insane. I really take care of my vans. They don't miss any maintenance. I do all the work myself. Tommy's seen my garage. I mean, I don't work on the body much. I probably should. It's like kind of embarrassing, but with all the other work and all the upgrades for... So if my alternator fails, which can happen because that happens, especially when you're working hard, I have 2 hours of runtime to get the dogs to safety just off battery power alone. So,
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I don't work much on the body either. I mean, it's all in here. So
it's all what you focus on. As long as you're happy and healthy as you can be, that's all.
So let me ask you this: let's do a little role play here. So you're introducing a dog to the pack for the first time. What is your process for kind of integrating them into the pack for the therapy? What are some of the things you look for as to whether or not it might be a good fit or it might not be?
Yeah, well, sometimes that starts with, but not always, the home visit or consultation, whatever comes first. The difference between a home visit and consultation is the focus and the amount of time spent. So a home visit usually is 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how much we kick it off as a client. And because sometimes I enjoy the client's company and we wind up talking a little long. Happens a lot. And so it's for the client to get to know me and me to get to know the dog. And sometimes we introduce the new dog to Kobun. And Kobun's my baseline. Like, he's the best case scenario for a dog to get to know another dog and to be friends with a dog. Because even though he's kind of obnoxious and bold, Kobun is not truly rude, and he is very confident. And with his experience and training I've given him, he knows how to deal with fearful dogs and aggressive dogs, and he knows how to make himself small and try to make himself friendly and non-threatening. So he'll get down and army crawl at the dog. Sometimes he'll yell at the dog and say, "Hey, quit it, chill out." And if the dog doesn't get any better, which I usually don't, because yelling at the dog, when you're a dog and he's scared of you as a dog is not a good thing. He hasn't figured that out, and he's 9.5. He's just boisterous. He uses his voice for everything. He's same sound for everything too. He wants a treat, same bark. He's scared of you, same bark.
Wow. So Right, okay.
And if the dog comes up to Kobun's face to fight, to challenge, because that's sometimes what they'll do, Kobun will unhealthy avoid. I'm like, no. Because there's healthy avoidance where it's calm. Oh no, I'm not here to fight you. I'm not gonna accept your challenge.
Right.
And then there's unhealthy avoidance, which is, oh shit. And that fear avoidance is basically them running, and that which runs must be chased, and then they could invite an attack. And I think some dogs that are fearful and they challenge, that's what they're looking for. Hey, I'm scared. Are you weak enough to run? Can I pursue and attack you? And if you flinch or you're scared, then they can go after you.
Right.
But if you respond with confidence and strength, no, not here to fight you. I'm just me, and you're not changing me. You're not making me fearful like you. I understand that you're fearful. I know, but this is the appropriate response. Oh, well, I don't What the heck? Coben. I don't respond to fear that way with fear. I respond with fear with confidence and a plan. Oh, no, I'm just going to avoid. Kyle will deal with it. That's what Coben says. if you're a real threat, Kyle will deal with you. And I do. I come in, I see, and I don't let him continue the challenge. Because even if Coben responds perfectly, like with that healthy avoidance, it doesn't mean the other dog won't still continue and go and attack.
Right.
That's what their experience is. That's what they think they should do. But all that lets me know a lot. So with a dog that is a neutral trigger that isn't unhealthy, like unnecessarily triggering that other dog, it's best case scenario. And if the dog has a real problem with Coben, like won't care how well Coben does, that tells me how rough it might be with the pack. And sometimes I'll say, hey, your dog is too stressed or too upset or too aggressive to deal with Coben, and I think the pack therapy would be unhealthy for them. So there's times I unrecommend pack therapy, even though I recommend it to, I'd say, about 95% of clients, because most dogs need additional exercise, experience, exposure, and it's just, the pack therapy isn't just for therapy of a tough situation. In my opinion, everyone needs therapy, just even to have someone neutral to talk to, for human therapy. And for dogs, it's therapy as in enrich your life. Let's go have adventures. Let's go see parks you've never been, or situations you've never been in, and thrive through it and enjoy that challenge and that experience, and to get to know this new person, this new place, this new dog, and realize that you thrive through it, you get through it, and it's a good thing, and whether you have anxiety or not. So pack therapy is good even for dogs that don't have behavioral issues.
Okay.
It's good for prevention of behavioral issues because it's that socialization, it's exposure to the world.
All right, so then going back to the role play here, you've introduced the dog to Coben.
I haven't. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, you've introduced that. It looks like the dog might be a good fit for the pack therapy. What's the next step on that?
So we schedule a day of the week or whatever many days you want as a client. And most of the time I will recommend a day of the week because the day of the week determines the dogs involved. Like what pack your dog's going to be exposed to.
So then you don't necessarily handle the same dogs every day.
Not necessarily. There are some dogs that are there 2 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, but 4 days a week are a little more rare these days. I need more. If you want your dog to go 4 days a week with me, it's only $35 a day. So come on. But yeah, so the particular individuals dictates the tapestry of the pack of the group that day. And so sometimes I want to handpick what day the dog goes with, to kind of tune it for the best case scenario. Because the whole point is to give them the best experience possible.
Especially for an introduction for the first time, you really kind of want to pick it out.
And that's true too. Sometimes I want to start on a particular day to give them the best case scenario to be introduced, and then I may change my mind and be like, well, this other group would actually be better. Or now that I know this dog and he's gotten his toe in the water,
right,
I think it would be a good challenge for him to be around this individual because he has a problem with that kind of problem, and this individual is a lesser intensity version of the problem that the dog has. And so you see all the tuning and the thought that goes into it. A lot of people think, I just come pick up the dogs and take them, we walk, and there's so much involved in every single minute of every day I'm with the dogs.
That dog psychology going through your mind.
You have to predict and prevent and use the right tools and the right timing and the right places for the right dogs and the right dogs around the right dogs. And there's a lot going into it. I keep it very simple for clients. I don't go into it because I want to overwhelm them. But this episode will at least help some people understand more of the nuances.
I was going to say, I just imagine you trying to explain this to the owner. They're just
sometimes I do.
Following you along.
Some clients want to know these things, so I'm more than willing to share. But yeah, it gets over. When I tell clients what I do on a consultation, the information I'm absorbing, processing, how I'm communicating with them and how I'm communicating with their dogs at the same exact time through my body language and tone of my voice and my energy to the dogs and the words of the people. Yeah. But anyway, we're not getting into that. Well, maybe we'll have an episode about consultations and what to expect and what I do on a consultation and don't do.
Consultations. What should you be afraid of?
But pack therapy. So we pick the right pack. That's the first step. The right day / pack. And then when I come pick them up, most of the time it's just me and the dog. I've had a lot of dogs that were very human aggressive and even tried to attack me on the consultation.
Oh wow.
And I still, to this day, 15 years later, I've never had to leave a dog behind because I think they may hurt me. Not that I won't. Like, if there's a day or that I go to get a certain dog, then I'm like, no matter how much time I spend, because I've spent up to 30 minutes to pick a dog up before.
Oh wow.
Because you have to take your time. That's why I tell clients, well, because sometimes they ask, what time are you going to be here? I'm like, well, I could be anywhere from like noon to 3, because even if I'm here every Tuesday, every Tuesday is going to be a little different. Because even if I pick up the exact same dog, certain dogs may have more anxiety a certain day and need me to be slower or demand more from them. Hey, stop, slow down, wait until I invite you out of the crate.
And I think that makes sense because it seems like, I mean, especially when you're dealing with
highly custom
other animals and whatnot, that you can't just say that it's always going to be this time. It's always going to be between this time. I mean, because they're as unpredictable as human beings are.
What happens
things happen.
What happens in my morning, stuff I have to deal with, things I have to fix on my van before I leave, traffic, each dog I pick up, whether I have to make a quick side trip to pick up like medication for my dogs or a pack member, or just stuff like that, little side trips, grabbing a snack quickly and before we go on a walk, because my energy crashes sometimes. So there's variables, but I don't leave the dogs unattended in the van more than it takes time to get dogs in or out of a house. Sometimes while I'm like in inclement weather, especially in the winter, I'll take them in the Rural King, so some of the dogs will wait out in the van. I'll pick the higher energy dogs first to take in and burn energy down.
Yeah.
And then the last group is usually old or slow or both dogs. So the forethought once again. So we start with picking the pack the right day. I take my time and get the dogs. Usually it's without the client present. Sometimes it is. The client's more than welcome to stand back a distance and watch, as long as it doesn't stress them out.
But it's important that they let the dogs have the interaction and they not be really as much a part of it in that aspect.
Yeah, because sometimes their presence can make the dog think they can be more reactive or feel more defensive, or there's all kinds of things. But at a distance, they can watch. Usually not a great distance, 10, 15 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just take the dog up, let him sniff the van, let the dog smell around. I watch the dog and wait for him to stabilize, which means they are no longer escalating in energy and they may even be lowering a little bit. And then I'll crack the van door open for the pack, and I'll just enough for them to smell and maybe see each other. I'll see how they respond. The pack responds as a whole, how individuals respond to that individual that I'm introducing, and wait for the stabilization to occur again. So they'll bark at each other and may freak out a little bit. And just wait for it to kind of reach a nominal.
Bring it down a notch.
And then I'll open the door pretty much all the way, and I'll correct any individuals by poking or pushing if they're being too focused or freaking out, and connect with them. Sometimes I'll hold the dog back and I'll correct the dog and look him in the eye and be like, hey, calm down, look at me. So instead of them being focused on that dog and being all scared, they see me and see that I have it under control. I understand. I know you're upset and scared or nervous or whatever it may be, but how about you wait or back off, and we'll take our time. And then I'll bring the dog up. So when the new dog is being introduced to the van, they have to go up pretty high.
Right.
So there's a bunch of dogs with a lot of power up high. So if I give them a chance, will try to match energy with the group because they're outnumbered and they have the high ground, you might say, for Star Wars fans. And it is a trapped space, which a lot of clients are like, well, it's a trapped space. Won't they feel trapped and be more reactive? Actually, the opposite. Dogs are very strategic. So he knows he's at a disadvantage to come up into that space just because just reaching up in. And some dogs won't even jump in my van. I have to pick them up and put them in because they don't want to leap into the face of the pack.
I imagine you probably have to do
and
that
that's
with a lot of smaller dogs.
I agree
too.
with those dogs. Like, well, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, some dogs may not like that. Fine, I'll help you out. Yeah, small dogs. I
was going to say, because the steps to get in that van are not very...
My pack has a 15-pound minimum, like max, minimum size. So
okay.
And if they're smaller than that, I may still bring them with, but they'll ride up front with me and or Kobun.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because Kobun loves small dogs. He loves dogs in general, but small dogs especially. So that way they don't get smushed or hurt, because obviously it's something to be concerned with. But so this dog now is seeing the other dogs, doors all the way open, just a narrow space. for them to see each other and dogs and reach out and sniff. And I'll be able to correct or push a dog back if they try to nip or bite. And I just take my time. If they really freak out, I close the door. We wait a little bit longer. We start again. And we just do that a couple times sometimes.
Now,
usually it's just right on, okay, let's go in. And then I watch. Once he goes in there, I watch. I hold on to his leash. I may even grab a couple leashes of dogs I know that might be a little corrective. So I can touch them through the leash and redirect them.
Okay.
And I'll wait and I'll watch and see, make sure no one has a problem with that dog or he has a problem with them. Wait for them to calm down, everyone to get sniffed. And if everyone's pretty stable, I close the door.
And then listen to their cries of agony as you leave them behind.
I close the door, and I'll sometimes once I close it, I'll still listen. He's like, "Play with me, Tommy."
I can't reach that far down.
I got this Norwal.
Norwal.
Fuji. Hey, stay out of there. Come here.
No.
Give me that. So many interruptions, dude. Yeah. There you go. Get it.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be a dog behavior podcast without a dog randomly running around in one episode at
Coben
least.
is oblivious. He'll walk through leashes, not leashes, well, those two. He'll walk through my cords and unplug the computer and rip damaged cords and stuff. He just all about his toy.
So I wanted to ask you. So you went through the whole introduction process. I know dogs have, very keen sense of smell. With all those dogs in there, have you ever had an issue trying to get a dog in there just from like the overwhelming power of all the other dogs that have been in there or are in there?
That's a thought and a question that most people wouldn't even think to ask. And absolutely, I have driven through neighborhoods with my van, especially if my flap windows are open. Mm-hmm. Drive through neighborhoods and I'll see 3 blocks away a dog go and then start barking and then bark at my van as it goes by because they can smell the 15 to 30 dogs that are in the van.
But I mean, I was just thinking like trying to introduce a new animal to it, and it, even if the dogs aren't present, they probably maybe have the scent of one from before. And
on the home visit, sometimes when we do initial consultation or a home visit for the pack therapy, when people are planning on it, I'll take them out to the van to smell the van and even get in the van when it's empty, just because it's about the same experience for them, at least initially, because the smell. Yeah, so definitely.
That was just something I had a thought about. Like, I know their sense of smell is really powerful, so
that's a very sharp observation and absolutely true.
I'm learning.
Enjoy the part that your Tommy takes later on. But so it would just take our time, and even after they're in the back and they seem stable, I get in the van and I'll look at my monitor and watch everyone, and I'll sometimes yell out names if they're being weird. And most of the time that's all it takes them. They know I'm observing. It snaps them out of it because they get involved in the old world and fixate on that dog, like making a mountain out of a molehill.
Right.
You do that by getting too close, and all you're thinking about is the molehill. It becomes like a mountain in your view, and all you need is someone to snap you out, like, hey, there's the whole world out here and me too. It's okay. So sometimes I'm like, hey, you, Walter, look at me. And okay, it's all right.
Walter?
And then I'll drive on. That's just an example of one.
I was going to say, like,
Walter, the bull terrier I work with,
okay.
Sometimes gets a little fixated and a little worried about certain dogs I pick up. I'm like, Walter, it's okay. And he'll, like, immediately soften up and kind of, okay. Budgie, what you got? He's like, give me these toys. Budge, come here. But anyway. He's a punk. He's a bull terrier, so he's gonna squeeze. He's gonna sniff Tommy's foot here. That's it. Woody, come here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hey, come here. Oh jeez. Hey, Budgie. Oh gee. I got the Coben on my lap. He's a sweet boy. He's just a little guy. He's cuddle sized. He's not a mini bully, but so this is the boy that helps me get dogs that are dog aggressive to have a friend, someone they can trust. He's not so big that he's intimidating to dogs, but he's sturdy. He's 52 pounds, but he's about 15 inches tall, 14 inches to his shoulders from his foot, and he's big enough not to trigger like prey drive instincts in dogs, but small enough not to make them feel threatened either. So he's a good size.
What's up, buddy?
Just wag his tail off.
Oh,
Oh, jeez, let me squeeze you through here. Yeah, just talking about Coburn and what he do. What he do?
what it do, Boone?
He's wagging his tail like crazy.
Boone.
Anyway, yeah.
This episode, you'll have to actually do some proper editing on. How about
yeah,
that?
Coburn make me have to work.
If I didn't go, I'd be dancing the whole time, like, be like, oh, I'm ready for my pack therapy. In the toilet.
Yeah, we're probably getting close to the end of the episode where...
Oh, yeah, because we're at like 59 minutes.
Yeah, about 20 of that's been fiddle farting with the booge and stuff. That's why I call him the booge.
I was going to say, why do you call him the booge?
I don't know. I call him the bougie,
The bourgeois.
the Coburn, the boo-boo,
The pit bourgeois.
the bougie. Oh, I'm smiling.
Oh,
be
he's
all
like, I'm
distracted.
famous.
Wow,
look at
he has
that.
his own Facebook page. You want to follow him, Kobun. You can follow the adventures of Coburn and helping dogs and having fun and licking the crap out of me because he's obsessive. Typical bull terrier. But
Yep.
anyway, yeah. So when I just keep an eye, I just watch. Observation makes a big difference in how they treat each other, how they interact with their environment. When they know you're watching, you understand you're there to guide or even stop them from their evil plans. If they want to have something bad to do.
Well, I was going to say, you did bring up earlier about how, sometimes the pack therapy brings out their more cunning side, like, oh, I can, do this now. I've got the confidence for world domination.
Yeah, but
Or
you
at
can
least
deal
taking
with
your
it.
food.
If you have me as your partner to assist you with your behavioral issues, that's gonna be a part of it, is helping you with the aftermath of bringing out the true dog and their personality and their confidence, which is good for them. But
Do you
sometimes
have
a
that
rough
happen
period.
often? I mean, is
Not
that
often, but it does happen. It's something that can be expected. It depends on the problem the dog has. So if they're really shut down and anxious or fearful, true parts of them are going to come out. Sometimes, most of the time, and vast majority of the time, improvements will be made. You'll see them play more and be more engaging and listen more and be more affectionate
Yeah,
because they're more confident to be that. But then sometimes you have a little bit of them backlash too of them saying, hey, I've never been comfortable with this, but now I'm comfortable to tell you I'm not comfortable with this. And that's good. We want more communication with our dogs. So even though it feels negative because they may be nippy or barky or grouchy, at least they feel they have the right and chance to express that. And all of us have a right to express those things.
I'm trying to imagine the conversation you have with someone who's like, pack therapy went great. By the way, your dog wants to take over the world now. Same time next week?
Yeah, well, global domination's been attempted before. But let me scoot in a little bit. Come on, you're weird. But anyway,
He just wants the attention.
pack therapy will include going into stores, walking at shopping centers. Once again, we'll divide the pack for that. Rain or shine, short of freezing danger or lightning danger or flooding danger, things like that, road safety. Those are concerns, but most of the time, rain or shine, I'm like the mailman. I'll pretty much get your dog unless I think that there's a risk of injury or property loss. But so there's that. We go for hikes at John Bryan and Glen Helen and different big places. We go for hikes and walks, and I always try to find new parks every year, at least rotate some, so it's pretty fresh. We go to some places they can predict and they get comfortable with, but they also get new places.
Do you ever take suggestions from clients on where to maybe take the pack along?
Oh yeah, I've learned about a few parks from clients, and I usually pre-scout them because, like I said, I want to know, can I see dogs and people from a great distance? Can I stay out of people's way? Is the footing safe when I'm walking that many dogs? So if dogs want to try to pull me, I just lift up and lean back, and they lose traction, and I gain their traction. Okay. People ask me, what if you trip? Well, if I trip, I just grab a hold of the other dogs and pull myself back up. Because I've tripped before, but I use the dogs to stabilize me.
Do you ever take them along bike trails or anything like that?
Yeah,
or?
I love bike. They're one of my favorite places to take. 'Cause
I was
it's
just
broad
thinking that
and
because
open.
you're talking about always wanting to be able to see, and I was like, well, maybe he doesn't because, if it's a bike trail, there's probably more biking involved than anything
I try to
else,
mix pavement with non-pavement. and I have to consider the mobility of the dogs in the pack. Like, can all the dogs deal with this rocky environment and going up and down
Right.
hills or not? Do they need pavement? Is pavement bad on them? Is it rough on their joints? Kobun sometimes is more
Yeah.
sore because of his arthritis after pavement.
Well-
And me too. I have to consider how much I'm putting impact through my shoes and my feet.
Right.
And all that is a variable. I also like to create a dog park-like situation where possible, where I borrow clients' yards when they allow me to, or my yard. I bring them back to Springfield and take them here to play. Because some dogs really need to learn off-leash manners and to actually learn how to play and be played with by dogs in an open environment, dog park-like situation.
Well, I mean, you definitely have enough yard for
The Humane
plenty
Society,
of dogs.
the Humane Society of Greater Dayton used to allow me every once in a while to go and shut down their dog park. If I let them know what time of day I'd be there, so they let clients and people know, hey, the dog
Okay.
park won't be available during this time. But that got a little difficult because I couldn't predict exactly when I'd be there for reasons we just discussed. And Francis Kennels used to allow me to do that too, but they kind of got more strict about what dogs were there. They would have to know, they'd have to have shot records and vaccination records of every single dog I brought there, which I
wow.
fully agree with. That's brilliant. It's a private dog park. All my dogs are definitely, the dogs aren't allowed in the pack unless they're fully vaccinated, along with Bordetella, which is the dog canine cough, the kennel cough they call it. Because sometimes that's optional, and clients don't realize they don't have that shot or that inoculation. I'm like, they need it.
No.
They need kennel cough to be with me, just like boarding your dog. I strongly suggest, I can't fully enforce it, but I strongly suggest they have a flea and tick prevention and heartworm prevention, because they will be out more and be more exposed to mosquitoes and ticks and fleas and tapeworm and everything else. So whipworm, hookworm. So having medications that help prevent ascarids and parasites, very important. I'm not responsible if your dog gets any of those things. That's just part of the situation and your
I mean,
responsibility to prevent. But
I was gonna say that's just something that kind of happens with dogs, anyways.
well,
I mean,
it's the owner's responsibility to prevent those. There's nothing I can do to prevent that. That's part in the nature of being exposed to other dogs and other environments and going for hikes and walks.
yeah. Now, do you require those things of a dog in order to be able to do a consultation on them at all? If you're just doing consultation and working with the dog exclusively,
Well, I don't have any vaccination requirements for consultation or home visits because of, number one, the only thing I'd really be concerned with would be rabies, which is required anyway. So if you're breaking the law and not doing that, that's to your detriment, and it could be to mine. And so I kind of assume you do that. I mean, it might be smart for me to ask and, hey, do they have their rabies vaccination? But once again, like I said, that's legal. Like, you're required to regardless. I shouldn't have to check on that. I probably should update my tetanus shot again this year, actually, come think of it, for myself, because that's just a risk working with dogs
Look-
and dog bites.
look at
and
that. The
hiking.
Captain Spish Dog Behavior
I need my
podcast,
shots.
educating you and reminding him to do his stuff.
And anyone who's working with dogs definitely should have, pardon me, the dog, Coben's hair is getting my nose.
Yeah,
Should
I wonder
have should have their vaccination for what is that? What did I call it?
The
I
dog
can't remember.
cough.
I just said what no for me for not
Your
distemper.
tetanus shot, dude.
Yes, I was thinking distemper for some reason. I just said tetanus, but yeah, tetanus, lockjaw. But, yeah, so definitely should do that if you're a professional in working with dogs. You're a meter reader, probably should get one.
Meter reader?
If you read meters like electric and gas, if you're going on people's properties regularly in any job, probably a good idea in case you step on a rusty nail or get bit by a dog. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so, in other words, as you can tell, I have a lot of forethought, 15 plus years of experience working with dogs out and with me, that has learned me a lot of
They learned you.
little details and nuances of prevention and predictable situations and what to do about them.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, after you've done everything with the pack
I take
and you're
the dogs
delivered, well, obviously you're taking them home. Is there anything specific or
I pick
special
up and
that you
drop
do
off.
when you do the drop offs or anything like that? Do you?
Uh,
I mean, is there a process for that?
Yeah,
for them leaving the pack at that time, like if there are any issues that you have to look for,
You do
anything of
have
that
to be
sort?
careful with some dogs that when you're removing a dog from a situation, you have to keep the other dogs from jumping out because they're all excited and they think they're at their house.
Right.
So I have to watch out for that none escape me, and have them come out and not hurt themselves jumping out of the van. That's not a high risk, but it happens. It's there. I haven't had any dog hurt while getting out of the van, but just try to make sure that they're cared for. Mm-hmm. I make sure they go in the home, and that I do take a peek, like just a quick scan, to see if there's anything toxic or dangerous in the immediate visible area. I don't come into the home any farther than I need to both retrieve or to drop off your dog, so I don't wander around your house or anything like that. And I usually ask permission first if, hey, can I use you as a potty break area? Like if I see they have a bathroom that's like a guest bathroom on the first floor or somewhere close to the front door where so I don't have to invade people's private bathrooms. I try not to do that. I'll ask first, say, hey, if I have to go, can I use your restroom? But I'm sort of respectful of people's homes. I try and make sure I leave it the way I found it, and make sure there's nothing new and dangerous that dog can get into when I drop off. I have had dogs eat my check. When the client's like, hey, I left you a check, and did you get it? I'm like, well, no. The dog, and I found it, like, I got my check a day and a half later when I was picking up. So, from their poo-poo. So that's happened. I've had dogs eat cash before on me. It's only happened a couple times, though, in 15 years. But, yeah, so stuff like that. Watch out for them to get into things. And if you have package deliveries, usually I'll bring them in and put them somewhere safe. Sometimes if it's chewy, I'll leave it outside so the dogs don't get into it.
That makes sense.
Because it's dog stuff, food, and treats. But most of the time I'll bring things in to kind of prevent porch pirating. If you tell me a door should be locked, I'll make sure it's locked when I leave. If you tell me, if you don't tell me a door should be locked, I usually leave it the way I found it so I don't accidentally lock someone out of the house. So if I come there and door's unlocked when it usually is, I'm gonna leave and it's gonna still be unlocked unless you told me otherwise. Just those kind of little details that really bring it to a new level of safe. If I see something that's weird, like somebody on your property that I've never seen before, or servicemen on your property or in the area, sometimes I'll give you a text alert like, hey, looks like DP&L's in your front yard, or there's someone that may be a service person, but I don't know, they're lingering around, I don't see any ID on them, stuff like that. Just basics, just to me, good neighbor kind of behavior. And that's pretty much it. And I give them a kiss usually if I can, and tell them
the clients.
No, the dog. No, I try not to kiss the people. I've had them try to kiss me, like the European thing, and I'm like, okay. But some of the people get really, really happy about me. Like people like me. That's kind of a good thing. Gets a little weird sometimes, but but I try to make sure it's on their end, not mine. Couple's taking a nap. But yeah, no, I give the dogs a little kiss or hug and give them a little affection. I can't help it. Like I said, they're my dogs. When they're with me, they're mine. And I have to say goodbye to them, and which has been good because, I work with some dogs their whole lives. Mm-hmm. And no matter how young a dog is, you don't know how much time you have with them. Between cancer, accidents, unknown health issues, age, and thankfully, the vast majority of the pack members I've worked with, I've been able to say goodbye to them, even if it's incidentally through the last day I picked them up and I didn't know. And so I don't have as many regrets when I lose a friend that I worked with for many years and helped through tough times. And those dogs helped me through tough times. We all help each other. It just happens. And
wait, hold on. You said we all help each other? Pack therapy? Oh.
Do we help each other through therapy? This is therapy for me, basically. Hopefully it's therapy for you a little bit.
Yes,
gives
absolutely.
You something to do, something to listen to, something to think about. Got some dog therapy right here.
No, I really enjoy being a part of this and whatnot. I consider, like you said, this is all about me learning as well as everybody else out there because...
It's about me learning, and sometimes I realize stuff I'd forgotten because I have to think about something I didn't have to break down for a long time.
Yeah, like your tetanus shot that you need to get again this year.
Yeah, some health. But yeah, I mean, pack therapy is good for everyone, including me, and... I always say goodbye to them when I leave them because you never know if it's the last time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they move away and pass away, and you just never know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just make sure they're safe and everything's cool before I leave, and say hi to the dogs when I'm in the van and drive off and go to the next stop.
Right off into the sunset, then
When
come
we're all
home.
tired and happy from what we experienced during the day, and I'm always proud of them. Even if we had some rough spots, I'm always proud that dogs are awesome and get along with each other despite their problems and listen to me and trust me, and I'm proud of the clients for trusting me and listening and making them better, because pack therapy does a lot of good and does a lot of help, but I can't do it all. It's just not good enough. You can't afford the grocery bill, let alone the hourly bill. If I lived with you to help you with your dog, this is the next best thing. I can come and get your dog and encourage you to do the same thing. So I tell clients, I'm not a replacement for you walking your dog or exercising your dog or practicing things with your dogs. I'm just the best option for making it the best scenario for them to do the best and to learn how to be and be better when they are with you and you're practicing those things with them also. Because that's another question people have. Well, what if they do well with you? How does that transfer to me? Well, they just know human does these things, and I tell you, you don't have to be me. You don't have to be a clone of me. But if you try to communicate and you listen and you observe and you connect with your dog, that's what I do with them, and that's what it takes for them to realize, well, Kyle taught me in this situation to look to him and to sit, or to let's avoid and be calm and be confident. And then they can look at their mom and dad who know that I've done those things for your dog, and they have confidence in what I've done with their dog, and they see the betterment that dog has, and they just do the communication, and it transfers. You have to be similar in the fact that you try, and that's all it takes. You don't need to be a clone of me. I just happen to have the experience to do it as perfectly as anyone can. At least I'd like to think so. And that makes it so you don't have to be as perfect. You just need to try. And your dog learns from me, and then they teach you, too. Hey, I'm not as bad in that situation, or you don't need to be as nervous in that situation. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's kind of how it transfers over. So I think that's an important point, because that's the question almost everyone asks. Well, you may take them out and walk them and do better with them, but how does that help me? Well, what goes around comes around. All the dog's world is connected, and if I make them better, you see they're better. You are calmer, which in turn makes them better further, and so on and so forth. It's kind of a snowball effect, which is how some of these clients and these dogs got in the situation they're in to begin with, is a snowball effect of bad things. But now we create the snowball effect of good things.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. If we cause the problem, we can fix the problem.
Exactly. And I'm sure, some of your observations you're more than welcome to share with the owners as well. If you see something in particular,
that's what I was talking about earlier.
Anything that helps with them, be able to do it on their own as well.
Yeah, we have that constant open connection of, hey, I observed your dog was better today, or he was worse today. I don't know why, but he's more anxious, or he's more hyper, or he's really happy to be out today, more than even normal. And it kind of gets the client a finger on the pulse of their dog, and then they'll tell me, oh, well, that's because maybe this, or I don't know, nothing's changed except for this in their life. I took them on more walks, or we've had less walks, or so it helps them know how their lifestyle affects their dog, because I kind of give them an evaluation if they ask for it. That's something I try to be better at, is giving like report cards about the dogs. I'm so busy with so many dogs, it would take me so much energy and time to give all the reports for all 12 dogs that day, every day of the week.
Right.
But if you ask, I'll definitely be happy to say. And if I forget, get busy and I forget, just bother me, because it doesn't bother me. Just message me.
Bother you because it doesn't bother you.
Just bug me, and it doesn't bug me.
Just poke the bear is what he's saying. Poke the bear. Poke the fish.
The louder wheel gets the captain grease. So, be a louder wheel. It's okay. Yeah. I try not to be too busy, but I got lots going on.
Of course.
This guy's lots right here.
Yeah, this is a parent
He's
here.
Literally trying to take a nap on my lap.
Yeah, but his eyes are going like...
He's smushed cheeks.
Yeah, like he's looking up at you like, dude, did I tell you to stop?
He's a no smash expert. Well, he likes his itches. He gets dry skin this time of year. But anyhow, but that's pretty much it, I think. Do you have any other
I think that's I mean, I
Questions?
think you covered a lot with the pack therapy, and I think I had some decent questions, I feel, in
Oh,
this
yeah. Excellent
aspect and
questions.
whatnot. And the stuff
Very
that I'm
thoughtful.
taking away from this is that pack therapy as a whole, it may not be for your dog, but it may very well help them
More
out.
than likely will.
Well, like you said, 95% of the time, there's not any trouble with it.
95% of the time, it'd be good for your
whatnot.
dog.
And it sounds like you've got a pretty decent, somewhat of a schedule. I mean, like you said, things happen, everything else. But I
Yeah.
mean, between walking and, play, interaction, it sounds like a lot of dogs could benefit from that kind of thing. Absolutely.
From leash manners to off leash manners, with other dogs, it's kind of the whole dog world in a little nutshell every week.
Yeah. Also learn that you need a new tetanus shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he might be able to work on your car, too.
Yeah. Mothers, people like, oh, it's so nice that you know how to work on your car. It's like, it is necessary. I can't afford to pay a mechanic. So YouTube and a garage full of special tools and lots of experience, trial, and mostly error. Yeah.
Yeah. I've also learned that Rural King allows dogs. I didn't know that.
They
I
love
figured
dogs.
service animals, obviously, but
They don't just allow them. They
But
love
I also
them.
don't get out much to many places not having a vehicle currently. That kind of,
In America,
really-
that'll do it.
America.
America needs a car. If you don't got a car, you don't get nowhere.
Yeah,
Double
that's
negatives.
pretty obvious, makes sense. But
Well, in
I
other
mean-
countries, if you don't have a car, that's normal. Take the train, take the bus, walk, bike. But here in America, we've structured our cities to basically require cars,
yeah,
To-
or
to
public
get to-
transportation.
which doesn't exist. Buses don't go by my house.
No,
There's
My
no bus
town's
that'll
too
take me.
small for it.
Buses won't take me from Springfield to New Carlisle. You're isolated in America if you don't have a car. It's kind of terrible, but
But no, I liked learning about the pack therapy, honestly, because like I said, whenever you told me about it, I figured you just take them to a dog park, let them run around, maybe take them for a walk around the block kind of thing,
there's a lot of mystery around it, and I think it's good to get this information out because I'll tell individuals this stuff, but there's nothing better than this outlet to tell the rest, like how it works, basically. If we haven't covered something you have a question about, then definitely
absolutely.
put it in the comments. So we really need more comments. We need interaction. Just talk to us. I watch that stuff. I watch it every single day for comments, likes, and so on. So like, subscribe, get the bell on, please.
And
we're
when
a
he goes-
small new
And when
YouTube
he goes to sleep at night, his wife will, keeps a vigil on it. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
There's always eyes on it, pretty much. But yeah, we'd be happy to answer any further questions in the comments, or even do a follow-up episode if there's enough interest and questions. And
Yeah, if you have something you want us to talk about, if you have an idea for an episode that you're like, hey, can you maybe talk about this subject or
yeah,
bring
we
this
may already
up, or-
have it in the pipeline. We'll just put it in the front of the queue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got lots of good stuff. We just got started. So we're not even gotten anywhere close to all the different subjects I'm sure all you are interested in.
What was it you told me when you wanted to start this, that you had about maybe 3 years worth of subjects?
I have like 3 seasons worth.
3 seasons.
Easily.
Oof.
Yeah. And since it's a podcast, we're getting in the nuance of these things. So something that if I was making a general television show or something I could probably have 4 or 5 of these subjects, kind of brief, summaries of them in each episode. But we're going to tear apart each and every little subject, including fear, anxiety, separation anxiety. What's the difference? Just all kinds of little details about dogs and the problems you'll have. So hopefully we'll have, maybe later today or later this month, we'll record an episode with Kimberly from Bull Terrier Freak. We've had her on the show before, and we're going to talk about something she's very experienced in. Oh, sorry, Butch. Oh.
She's experienced in, and every child loves.
So you can tell I'm from Ohio. I go, oop. But puppies. We're gonna talk. We're gonna have an episode about puppies and our best puppy advice and experiences and stories of what we've been through, funny and weird things or scary things we've experienced with raising puppies, especially Bull Terrier puppies, but any puppy. Potty training advice, socialization.
I'm sure everybody would love help on that. I know.
House proofing, the puppy proofing the house proofing the puppy, do's and don'ts and all that. Like how do you make the best puppy? How do we raise them? I'm going to be going on a consultation this coming week about this person so I get called in sometimes when you don't have a behavioral issue yet and you're trying to prevent it. And those are my favorite calls, because if you give me a call at 937-245-0656 and you need any more help from me, you can text that number as well. I love texts because I have a bad memory, and that way I know what you said and who messaged me. So don't forget who you are and what you talked to me about, which happens. But you can text or call that number and for my help. But I'll be coming out there to help this guy in advance to make sure he's doing everything right to make the best puppy and the best adult dog he possibly can. You're a bad puppy. And make sure that he's doing everything right, so he makes a nice, happy, adjusted dog that can experience the world without fear and with adventure and fun. That's to me why you get a dog. So
I feel like when you say that, I should be able to like open my hands and form a rainbow. Like
anyway, once again, that number is 937-245-0656 to contact the captain. Text or call that number. You can contact us on our website at captainspishdollbehavior.com, with or without the hyphens in between each word. And you can fill out a contact form or see a little bit more about my services. And like, subscribe, get the bell on here. Make sure you spread the word. Share this with anyone who you think it would be beneficial to. Even other professionals, if they want to emulate this service, they're more than welcome to contact me, especially if you're out of my area, because I prefer not to have the competition. But, there's a lot of work to go around. And I'd be glad to share more details about how you may be able to start pack therapy in your area to really help your clients with their fear, anxiety, and aggression, or whatever it may be. And it's very rewarding. It's kind of dangerous. It's scary, but it's fun. And if you're diligent and you care, you'll make very good experiences for these dogs and help enhance their life.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about helping. All about helping.
Or complaining like Kobun does. But anyway, this has been the Captain Spish Dog Behavior Podcast, and we've just talked about pack therapy and all its benefits.
Therapy!
And we've had a little Tommy's take about what he learned from it, which is definitely going to be something we'll keep on doing, because I think that'd be important to make sure we get the point across and I'm communicating. But,
absolutely.
We will see you next time. Dog bless.
Adios. It was unconventional, but it worked.
And I never tell clients, just like I never tell the dogs, not to be scared.
Unfortunately, dogs don't have the ability to just talk it out with you.
See, there's all kinds of different types of bites, but I'll get into that later. What's happened here? How did this start? How can I help you? You reward good behavior and you discourage or redirect bad behavior into good behaviors. Warm talk, anecdotes, stories, get to know me, get to know them.
Yeah.
What you do or don't do with that dog, how you handle that dog, how you think and feel, and what you do with your thoughts and feelings around that dog. And it's going to be for the rest of that dog's life.
You can't just unplug the corgi and plug him back in. I'm going to be open and honest about it. And that was like watching art.